This morning I decided I want to paint a little postcard. So these are from Honey and it is in a beautiful little tin like this, and I've ordered them, I think I ordered them from a local little station art shop here. They are rough cold press, it's not smooth watercolor paper, and then so it's a little bit different than smooth hot press watercolor paper, but let's see how this little postcard will turn out. And I have this little ball that I want to paint, which is a Christmas ball, so I'm going to fit it so that it nearly takes up this whole space on this postcard, and we'll see how it turns out. So obviously I'll use something to make a circular shape that is very similar to the size of this ball. So let me see what I can find. So I have this this candle holder very close to me, so I'm going to use that. It should be similar size to that, even if it's slightly bigger, I don't mind. I'm just going to use a pencil, and I want it a little bit to that side. So again, I washed my hands, I don't have any cream on my hands, so very nice and clean, no hand cream on it because you work with watercolor, and it's a little bit skewed, but I'll fix it with my watercolors. And get a little eraser. So I brought a little putty eraser down. So this is like a little patio where I paint sometimes. It's not my studio. I have a very tiny studio upstairs where I record my tutorials, but these are just quick little studies that I share as well, like mini tutorials if you want to follow along. And I'm going to put this like this on that section there so that I can have quite a nice view. And so I'm going to look at the middle of this. I'm just going to use a normal pen to use it as the middle, and I'm going to just draw that little top part in where it normally hangs on either a Christmas tree or any other decorations. So I'm quite happy with that little section, and I'm going to go around it at the top, just slight rounded section there, and then I'm going to draw this little part in. I have to hold the card because I haven't stretched it onto something, so it's a little bit difficult to hold and draw. And then I want to also paint in that little gold, so I will go right through to there so it looks realistic, and I'll rub all of those little markings out now. So what I will use is a little bit of yellow. I might have to get a little bit of a brighter yellow because the yellows that I have here in my Sminky watercolor box is not as bright as I want it to be. But this is the line drawing. So I'm going to just pack my pen away, take a photo. I have a lady that started she creates her own watercolors, and she's unfortunately out of stock. So hopefully we can get some golds from someone for a tutorial next time, but I'm going to use this very bright yellow for the gold little top part of my painting there, and then I'm going to just use normal yellow as well. And this is just a quick little study, so I want to just map that in. So it's a very tiny little one there, then it's a little bit bigger, and a little bit bigger, and then a very tiny one here, so it looks rounded. And we're going to have a whole red ball here. Okay, so I'm going to use a tiny little brush. So let me just, you never do that, never leave your brushes in water like I just did. Multitasking here, so I want to pick up the red as well. So let's see, I have this cadmium red light. I hope you can see the palette. Let me just move it closer onto the paper here. I have this beautiful cadmium red light, and then I also have permanent carmine here. So I'm just picking up a lot with my brush. You can use an old brush so that you don't damage your brushes. And then I want to mix some of this red, ruby red as well. And then I'm going to just want to see this one, this color here. Yes, I'll do some of that as well. So I might have to change my water because obviously I want the gold to be perfectly and then I'm going to go in with this color too. So I'm using all the colors that I have here on my palette. If you want a bright red, just mix a few reds together to get to, this is more cold red that I want. So I'm going to just pick it all up and mix a whole bunch. Some of it is translucent, some of it is transparent, opaque, but that's fine. Obviously there's no light here because it's on a patio. The light is all natural coming from this side of the window, so I hope you can see what I do. But this is the cold press watercolor paper from Hanemule, and it's a postcard. And I'm going to just use my brush to wet this whole section here. So you can tape it onto a board if you battle to hold it, or you can get a clipboard. That will actually work very well because it's quite difficult to paint with these little postcards if it's not attached to something, or you can hold it like I do. And then I'm going to leave a highlighted section, so I'm going to pick up some of the paint and just drop it in on the side, and as you can see it just goes everywhere. It's beautiful. Bit more red. I'm going to just mix these colors together to get this perfect red. Now I think this cadmium red light is an opaque color. I just have to double check, but I do think it is opaque. And then I'm just going to take my brush and go around the edges there. You don't want to lift it up too much, but you just want to make sure that you neaten up all of those little markings there. These watercolors, I don't mind if it goes out of the sides there. I didn't wet that, but if the brush touched it and it's a little bit wet, then there's nothing I can do right now. I can remove it later with a little scrubber brush, which I will also mention that lady that I found locally that imports some of the Rosemary & Co. little watercolor brushes, which is amazing because the cost to bring things in, the courier fees are quite a lot, so I like to support them. And I'm going to go into there. I want to leave a little bit of a highlight here, so let's go around there with your brush, neaten up all of those little markings. And like I said, it is watercolor, so we'll remove that later, but make sure that that is completely dry before you touch that. So that you don't mess it up, because the minute you scrub, then now all the pigment will flow to that section. and just neaten up those little edges a little bit. I love the colors there. I love this purple mix in there, and I'm going to just go a little bit smaller with this, and then I'm going to leave it to dry. And let's see. So I'll go back later with a very watery wash in that highlighted section. For now, I want to leave it to dry completely before I carry on there. So let's paint in this little gold ribbon, and the colors I have is this transparent gold from Sminky. I think it is Sminky. I will just double check, which I should actually put some in here because it will be perfect for you. Doesn't all have to be the Sminky watercolors, but anyway. So what I'm going to do is I want to just rub out a little bit, because it's gold. The pencil will actually help quite a lot here, because the pencil will outline the yellow that I want to paint in and create. So that will help quite a lot. So I'm just going to go in with a very thick consistency. I haven't wet this part here. I want it to stay as thick as possible, and I'm going to go over that little pencil marking there because I'll rub it out later. Now sometimes you can go back and with the first layer of watercolors and you can remove the pigment. Sometimes you can't, depends on how thick your layer is, but I've tested it and I can sometimes remove a little bit of the pigment, and I'm quite happy with the way it looks if I remove it with my eraser. And as you can see, the pencil line just helps a little bit to create that outline. Let me zoom in a bit. See that? I like that. And there you go. And then I'm just going to paint in this bottom little section here. Now I made a tiny little knot in there, and then it's like sort of stripped the string, so it's like little ribbons, and then the other one is going to that side, the other little part of it, and I quite like how that looks. So the other part obviously we can't see because it's behind this ball, and I want to now bring that part out to there. So I will go like this, which is going to be quite tricky, and then bring it to the side. So it's going to be that little section there. And let's make it a little bit lighter. See if I'm happy with that. Yes, I am. I'm going to just pick up some of the paint and paint it in. There you go. And then I'm going to take it to there. Okay. There you go. I'm going to leave this to dry for a second, and then I'm going to just do a very watery wash over there so that it looks a little bit more realistic, and then I will just remove some of that because I need to get a bit of clean water. I don't want to mess it up too much now, so my water is not the cleanest. And just dab it on there to pick up some of that pigment. Just neaten some of these little sections here. And I don't mind, you want it to look like watercolor and not like a perfect card, so I don't mind that it is not perfectly round. I like the gold and the yellow, even though it's not gold, it is fine. And just go a little bit darker in certain sections to create those little plaited parts of the little gold ribbon. And I quite like that. And I'm going to just rinse my brush. I have my water on this side because I don't have space on the right hand side at the moment because of the way I am painting. So what I want to do is I want to take quite a big round brush, and with water on my brush I want to just softly soften that and make sure that it is a nice highlight but not too bright. And then that is still a bit wet, so I'm just going to go over that section there and just move and smooth out the paint. And I want it to look like watercolors. And you can have your tissue handy if you want to lift out some of the color a bit more. This, drop it in there and some there. And I want to be careful because I just wet that section there, so we don't want any of the pigment to flow in there or the paint to flow in there. And then this side is quite light, so I want to dab my brush on my tissue paper and then just lift out some of this extra color that I dropped in here just to smooth it out a bit. And every time it flows back to that section, I just lift it up. And I also want to go around that section just to lift it up. And I have the camera quite close, so it's a little bit difficult if my hand is in the way. I do apologize for that. Again, just go around and lift out some of that color, and you see those little markings there, you just go over it with your brush and remove it. There you go. And if it's a little bit too dark in certain sections, also lift out some of the color. And once it starts to dry, you leave it and you just let it dry, and then you can come back and adjust the colors if you're not happy with something. But mine is still very wet. Luckily this paper you can wet it quite a lot, and you have enough time to adjust some of the colors while it is drying, where with other paper, and depending on the season and how long it takes to dry, you don't have that much time to remove some of the paint. And this brush is amazing because it just folds the way you, if you see the tip there, the way you remove some of the pigment. And quite happy with that. So I'm going to leave that to dry, and then come back with a nice watery, very watery wash to adjust some of the colors so that I can finish this up. I'm going to water the garden quickly while I wait for it to dry, and then move some, because it's still a bit wet, just move some of that in there and smooth it out a bit. And then you don't want to mess with it too much. So let's see how that dries, and then I'll come back and finish it up if I'm not happy with that. And that is how wet it still is, but the minute you see when it starts drying, like there, those little parts there, you want to stop and leave it to dry completely, and then you can come back and finish it up at a later stage once it's bone dry. You can adjust your colors again if you want to. But this is our little Christmas ball that we painted this morning, and I'm not going to add any darker paint in there because I want it to look like it is shining through that section and that it's attached to the ball like that. So that's the Christmas ball that we painted this morning, and our beautiful red water. So I am back and I wanted to show you how it turned out. So I don't think I want to adjust any of this or change it. I think it turned out quite nice, and it's a very quick and simple watercolor tutorial, and these little postcards are really very handy and very nice if you want to just practice and maybe just do a quick painting.